The man had been staying at the hotel for almost a week. He had his own key card to get in and out. The guest in room 403 did not. Every night when the clock struck 3, the man would wake up to the sound of someone crying. It was always the same. At first it sounded like screams, then the screams would turn into sobs. The crying would shake the very foundation of the room he was in. The man would sit there listening, wondering who in the world was in the next room. Was it a young girl who had been abandoned by her parents? A lover whose lover had just left them? Or perhaps someone who was terminally ill, crying out to God for just one more day? He never thought that any of these answers would apply to him. After all, what does a simple businessman have in common with some sob story? But this was his life now. He couldn't sleep at night. And if he didn't get his rest, he wouldn't be able to carry out his job properly. So the man decided to find out who his neighbor was. There were no cameras in the hallway, but there were cameras in the rooms. He went to the reception and asked to see the footage from room 403. The receptionist gave him a strange look, but the man insisted. The receptionist made a few calls, then told the man that he could look at the footage in the security office. When he got there, the guards were eating their dinner, watching TV and drinking coffee. They looked at the man as if he had grown another head when he asked to see the tape. One of the guards finally spoke. "What do you want to see the tape for?" "I'm sorry, but I need to see it," the man said. So they showed him the tape. The man watched as people came and went. It was strange. No one ever entered room 403, but the door was never locked. Sometimes he would see a shadow behind the curtains. It was always the same time, around 2 or 3 in the morning. The man asked to fast-forward the tape to 3 a.m. the next day. They complied, and the man's jaw dropped. He saw a figure enter the room. It was a man. The man looked at himself on the screen and realized that it was him. He looked tired, just like every other night. The man walked into the bathroom. Then the man on the screen turned off the light. The man in the security office pressed a button, and the guard sitting next to him leaned closer to the monitor. "It's him. It's definitely him," the man in the security office said. The man on the screen took off his shirt. His muscular arms glistened under the light. The guard in the security office whistled. The man on the screen started taking off his pants. He was so absorbed in what he was doing that he didn't notice the door opening. In the security office, the man slapped his hand on the table, making the others jump. "That's enough," he said. He took the card key from his pocket and walked out. He stood in front of the closed door of room 403. He took a deep breath, then knocked. He heard shuffling on the other side, then the door opened. The man stared in disbelief at the person standing before him. It was him. It was exactly him. The man looked back at his room, then back at his doppelganger. "Who are you?" he asked. His double shrugged. "I'm sorry," he said. "I don't mean to intrude, but this room is mine." "What?" The man pointed to himself. "But you're in my room," the double said. "No, you're in my room," the man said. The two men argued for a while, but neither of them could prove that they belonged in that room. Eventually, they decided to split the difference. They would share the room. The man woke up in the middle of the night, as he often did. He looked over at the other bed. His double wasn't there. The man got out of bed and started looking for him. He found him in the bathroom, staring at his reflection in the mirror. The man asked, "Is something wrong?" His double turned around and smiled. "No, it's just that I haven't seen myself in a while," he said. The man felt a chill run down his spine. The room that wasn't there. A woman was given a room number, but when she went to the receptionist to ask where it was, they looked at her confused. "There is no room 318, they said. "But that's what my ticket says," she replied. The receptionist shrugged and said, maybe it was a mistake, or the room had been taken. She thanked them anyway and went on her way. She found the first floor easily enough and started walking down the hallway until she came to room 317. It was right here. She knocked on the door and waited, but when she heard the reply of "Come in," she hesitated. It didn't sound like the voice of a hotel staff member. It sounded more like a woman's voice. The woman took a deep breath and pushed the door open. She saw an empty room with a single bed in the center, and when she walked closer, she realized there was something on it. She had completely forgotten about this. It was the necklace that she had misplaced. It was supposed to be a surprise for her husband. He had told her not to tell him anything about it until Christmas morning. But now it was ruined. She picked up the box and turned to leave, but she noticed something strange. The room wasn't connected to the hallway. There were no other doors except for the one she had come in from. She could see the end of the hallway from where she was standing, and it was clear that this room wasn't where it was supposed to be. There was no room before it or after it. It was completely isolated. As she stared at the hallway, she suddenly remembered why she had been given this room. This was the room she had stayed in during her honeymoon. Her husband had booked the hotel room under a fake name so that she would not know where they were going. She had stayed in that room for a week while he planned a surprise for her. Every day they would go somewhere new and exciting, and each night he would arrange for rose petals to spell out a different love message on their bed. When she had left the room that morning, she had noticed that the necklace box was missing. She had thought that he had taken it to put the petals on the bed. But then, when they met up later that day, he had acted confused, as if he had no idea what she was talking about. Then they had come back to the room, and that's when she had seen the box sitting on the bed with the necklace missing. At the time, she had thought that one of the hotel staff had taken it. But now, as she stood in the middle of the hallway, she knew that none of this had been an accident. Her husband had set all of this up. He wanted her to find the necklace because he needed it. She quickly turned around and ran back down the hallway. She didn't stop running until she reached the receptionist's desk. She needed to get away from there. She needed to hide. And that's when she heard his voice. "Looking for this?" He was holding the necklace in his hand, and there was a sinister smile on his face. "What did you do?" she asked, her voice shaking. "I just wanted us to have a reminder of our special week together," he replied. "Oh my God." She looked at the necklace and then back at him. "You took it from the box, but the box was empty," he said. "No, it wasn't. You never let me finish my surprise." She took a deep breath. "We can talk about this later," she whispered. He shook his head. "Why? Are you afraid I'll hurt you?" he asked. "Because you already have," she replied. As she turned to walk away, she heard him shout, "Wait! I didn't mean for you to actually find the room. I just wanted you to think you did." But it was too late. She had already made it to the elevator. As the doors closed behind her, she pressed the button for the first floor. When the elevator dinged and the doors opened, she stepped out into the hallway. She had made it. She was safe. A man was staying in a hotel room. Suddenly, while he was rummaging through the drawer, he found a small piece of paper with some writing on it. It said, "Don't open the closet under any circumstances. Whatever is inside doesn't want to be found." Of course. He thought it was just some kind of weird joke made by the previous guest. But then again, he had nothing to lose by not opening that closet. So he left it alone. He spent the rest of the day sightseeing and only returned to the hotel room late at night. And when he pulled back the curtains, he saw a dark figure standing in front of the closet. He tried to turn off the lights and hide in the closet himself, but the door wouldn't budge. Then he started to cry out for help, but no one came. When he finally worked up the courage to open the door again, the hallway was empty, and the closet was just a closet. No one was there, and nothing was out of the ordinary. The next morning after, of course, not sleeping at all, he decided to check out early and get a new hotel room. But when he went to get his things, they were gone. He didn't even recognize the bed. The entire room looked different and completely normal. So he went to the front desk to ask what was going on. The clerk checked the computer and said, "There's no record of you being here last night." The man explained everything that had happened, but the staff didn't believe him and just kept saying that he must be mistaken. So he left without his things and without any answers. And he wasn't the same ever again. Years passed, and he never forgot that terrible night. But then one day he saw a news report about a serial killer who had been captured. His name was John Wayne Gacy. But most people knew him as the Killer Clown because he performed at children's hospitals and charity events dressed as a clown. But when he wasn't performing, he lured young men to his house, killed them, and buried them in the garden. Over 30 victims were found in total, and when the police searched his house, they also found a small piece of paper in one of the drawers. It said, "Don't open this drawer under any circumstances. Whatever is inside doesn't want to be found." That's why the man from our story recognized the handwriting. He told the police everything he remembered about that night, but by then, the killer clown had already been sentenced. When he returned to that hotel room all those years later, it was empty. All the rooms in that building had been demolished to make way for a new highway, and the man wondered if what he experienced that night was real or a figment of his imagination. Maybe the serial killer had slipped into his room while he was out, and that's why he couldn't remember anything from the next day. Or maybe, just maybe, there are some things in this world that we're not meant to find, and some doors are better left unopened. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts. And that's all for today. Please remember to subscribe if you haven't already. See you soon. Bye. Please like and subscribe.